would like to begin by highlighting contribution of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India, whose birthday 31st October we celebrate every year as Rashtriya Ekta Diwas or the National Unity Day. This year it is more special because today is the 150th birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So that is why we have gathered here today. For Indians, Rashtriya Ekta Diwas is not merely a formality. It is a profound reminder of the vision, sacrifice and strength that forged our nation. It is a day to reaffirm our commitment to the unity and integrity of India. We all know that Sardar Patel took upon himself the monumental challenge of integrating more than 560 princely states when we got independence in 1947. He was the first Deputy Prime Minister of India and he was also the first Home Minister of India. In these roles, with his diplomatic genius and unwavering resolve, he brought these diverse kingdoms into under a single national umbrella. He traveled across the land, persuading rulers to join the Indian Union, and his efforts led the territorial foundation of modern India that we are today. His unwavering commitment to national integrity, good governance, and public service continues to inspire generations. His work teaches us that unity is not a given, it must be nurtured and protected. Today, the values upheld by Sardar Patel are more relevant than ever before because as a nation we are facing new challenges, both internal as well as external, that threaten our national fabric. It is therefore important that we honor Sardar Patel's legacy by rejecting divisions based on caste, creed or community, etc. On this Rashtriya Ekta Diwas, let us remember that we are Indians first and our shared identity is what makes us resilient. By working together, we can ensure a future where our nation continues to thrive and prosper. Let us also reaffirm our collective resolve to uphold Sardar Patel's vision of a united, strong and Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. With this spirit, later on today we will also be taking National Unity Pledge. Distinguished guests, now coming to Janjatiya Gaurav Varsh, I would like to mention that Government of India has declared 15th November the birthday of Bhagwan Birsa Munda, the legendary freedom fighter and tribal leader of the country, as Janjatiya Gaurav Diwas to commemorate the contributions of tribal communities in national history and culture and motivate the coming generations for protecting our cultural heritage and national pride. As 15th November 2025 marks 150th birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda, it has been decided by the Government of India to celebrate Janjatiya Gaurav Varsh from 15 November 2024 to 15th November 2025. Bhagwan Birsa Munda is considered a folk hero in India who played a pivotal role in the Indian independence movement by leading an armed tribal uprising against British colonial rule and exploitative landlords in the late 19th century. He is often referred to as Dharti Aba or the father of the earth by his followers, who also considered him a divine figure or Bhagwan. That is why we call him Bhagwan Birsa Munda. The movement is spearheaded by him, aimed to reclaim tribal lands, resist forced labor, bathe bigari and challenge the British imposed feudal system that replaced the traditional Khunt-Katti communal land ownership system. His slogan was Abua Raj Setar Jana, Maharani Raj Tundu Jana. Let the Queen's rule end and our kingdom be established. Even though he died at a very young age of 25 in 1900 in Ranchi jail under mysterious circumstances, his movement forced the British administration to introduce the Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act of 1908, which restricted the transfer of lands from tribals to non-tribals. I would like to conclude by adding that His portrait hangs in the Parliamentary Museum of India and his statue has been installed at Prerna Sthal inside the Parliamentary House complex. Various institutions and public places, including the Birsa Munda Airport in Ranchi, are named after him. Thank you. Now I will request respected Ambassador Sir to share his remarks for today's program.
Good evening, everybody. Namaskar. Welcome to this great occasion this evening when we are assembled here to celebrate the Rashtriya Ekta Diwas, the National Unity Day. And today it's a matter of great joy, great happiness that all of us have gathered here to celebrate this great day. It's not only a day of joy and happiness but also inspiration. We are remembering the great figures of our freedom struggle, and also it gives us an opportunity to meet you all as gives us the opportunity, all of us, to come here together and continue our discussions in the spirit of exchange of how it feels like an Indian diaspora in Denmark. So you know that from time to time we meet in this format as open house. There would be a series of speakers, they will speak, and of course there will be later opportunities for all of you, if you want to reflect on something, speak questions, pose it to speakers, etc. And this dialogue and this conversation would continue. But today on 31st October we especially planned this program because it coincides with several things, and as you can see that we have several offerings there, and that is what brings us all together here. First of all, of course, this is Rashtriya Ekta Diwas, the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and you heard Pankaj that how in great respect we hold him, because he is called the Iron Man of India, and he ensured that India geographically and territorially after the independence remained united, and it remained in this shape in which we see India today. Otherwise, the colonial power had spared no efforts to leave India in 560 different pieces, and that was their game plan. And Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, with the help of and with the mobilization of people of India in the struggle for independence, defeated that nefarious design. Of course, the British succeeded in ultimately partitioning the country, but the India of today, we owe a great deal to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and his vision that we remain united. And of course, in the way he carried on negotiations with various princely estates is also a big inspiration and kind of great learning for us as diplomats, because a diplomat deals with foreign countries, and with some princely estates he had to deal with them as if they were a foreign country, and some of them had wanted to remain like a foreign country. They didn't want to come under the fold of India, and that later created a lot of complications. So of course, on this day, not only we remember Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, but we also take the pledge of unity, and there would be a pledge. You can give that to me, and we will later take that pledge. I also want to here recall that we see the poster of Mission Life here, Lifestyle for Environment, and it was the call of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi that today, when we are all faced with the problem of climate change and environmental challenges, and you can see that how climate change is affecting all the countries in the world, including in Denmark, we had a very warm day today on this 31st October, unimaginable, and we will, many people who are living here for many years probably would recount whether they had such a warm 31st October so far, right? Maybe it's already also Halloween, so maybe. But I remember that in 2022, we were from the Ministry of External Affairs, we had a special program, and we were all taken to this place in Kevadia, where the Statue of Unity stands. This is the tallest statue in the world of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and we all sat here at the feet of this statue, and Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, together inaugurated this Mission Life. And what is this Mission Life about? It is about consciously reducing our consumption. we in our consumption today waste a great deal of things. We buy things which we don't need. We have food on our plate which we don't eat. We leave our electricity on or heating on while we are not there, and then maybe it is understandable in some cold climate countries, but places like in India. And so if we lower consumption, we help ourselves, we help planet Earth. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during that speech, I remember I was present there, he said that, just to take a simple example, that if you run your air conditioner not on 21 degree of centigrade, which would make it very cold, leave it at 24 or 26. It runs throughout the day. It is much friendlier to climate rather than being feeling cold inside and stepping outside where it is very, very hot. So things like that, we need to adapt our lifestyle, and that was Mission Life about. And that also, it relates to the birth anniversary of Sardar Patel. That great inspiration came from there. So there are so many things on which we can relate on the National Unity Day. Then it's a big occasion that we are celebrating the Janjatiya Gaurav Varsh. So glorifying our tribes in India. And that when we think of history of India, we think that okay, there was an independence struggle. There were leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Subhash, Rajendra Prasad, many others, Badshah Khan, and Maulana Azad, and many others. But we tend to forget our tribal heroes. And Birsa Munda was one of the pioneers, who stood, and in the Chota Nagpur region, he stood against the oppression. Ultimately, was incarcerated and gave his life as sacrifice to the freedom of the nation. And with that great spirit in which Birsa Munda and many other tribal leaders led that struggle, this is also a matter of pride for us, and we should not forget that. And in fact, today among our array of speakers, there would also be Mr. Sudhir Mishra. I think that he will be here soon. Mr. Sudhir Mishra, who is an advocate in the Supreme Court, would also speak on what we have done for protecting tribal rights and protecting tribal lands. And India has a very special case for protecting our tribes, unlike many other countries where tribes became history and they went into the museum, but not in India. So we have to remember that also. This is also a special occasion because we are going to release 2 community magazines today. And this is not easy to release a magazine. We had actually worked on them for a long, long time. And actually the original plan was to release them in the month of May. But you know that this nefarious terrorist attack by Pakistan based groups and Pakistan sponsored terrorists, they came in Pahalgam, and this mayhem was there, and we were also deeply affected and also a bit diverted. So we could not do it in May, but we continued to work on this magazine. And finally, we decided that we would issue the magazine on Diwali. So I'm very grateful to publishers who have done their bit. The Global, Mr. Mrityunjay Mishra, who is the editor, he is there. He would also be speaking. And then the directory and the publisher, Mr. Hans Hermansen, who is right now in India. He could not be here. He's going with a group of journalists around India with a group brought together by Ministry of External Affairs. So we ensured that this magazine of the Global this time would only be on India. So it would give you a glimpse of, I think you would read copies, it would give you a glimpse of what India is doing in Denmark. It would be very fine. And then also Mr. Harwani, he brings out regularly the directory of Indians in Denmark, and Mr. Harwani belongs to that generation when he came to Denmark when there were very few Indians. And now there are 22,000 plus Indians living in Denmark. So I asked Mr. Harwani that why do we need to bring a directory of Indians in Denmark? So he said that no, there are some other important things which should go into directory like information, and we agree with that. We have given some information relating to consular services of Embassy of India. So people do get informed, they do need information about passport, visa, some attestation. So some kind of information is there. But of course, for other things, Embassy is always available, and we talk about that. So we'll release that also. And then we have a series of speakers today. A very, very interesting constellation of speakers. they, from their different perspectives, they would like to give a glimpse of how life in Denmark is for members of Indian diaspora. And they come from varied backgrounds. Some of them came from India while they were adults, adapted to life in Denmark, and it's an experience of many of us, who learned something from their experiences to make our lives more adaptable, better in Denmark, and get to the next level of success. We are all successful people in Denmark, but of course there is always a constant thought that how we can make our lives better and how we can contribute to Danish society where we live. And lastly, and not the least, how can we always contribute to India-Denmark friendship? Because this is our prime thing as diaspora, that we should always uphold that principal position that India and Denmark can always work together. So we would, of course, when Pankaj would introduce the speakers, we would hear them and their experiences. Two of them are very interesting speakers because they're also contesting elections in the upcoming municipal elections in Denmark. And I'm happy to see that people from Indian background, Indian diaspora people, are also now foraying into politics and contributing to the democratic process in Denmark, which is very good. This meeting is not about any election campaign, but they would speak about their experience, and I think that you'd be very happy to hear them. So I think that all in all, it would be a very interesting evening, which would be a journey from national aspirations to the fine granular thing that how we live in Denmark and how we contribute to the Danish society while living here. And these diaspora speakers are from the young ones to not so young ones. Young ones are full of energy and not so young ones are full of wisdom. So we'll hear everybody. And with this, while the program will go on, let us take the National Unity Pledge. I would request you to rise, and it would be on the screen. And I would read out the pledge, and I would request that you follow along. To spread this message among my fellow countrymen. I take this pledge in the spirit of unification of my country, which was made possible by the vision and actions of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I also solemnly resolve to make my own contribution to ensure internal security of my country. And I also welcome Mr. Sudhir Mishra, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, and Pankaj, you will take the program along. Thank you very much.
One, two, three.
And this magazine we dedicate to Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh, yeah. And actually an interesting process, and I was so keen on writing something more and new about India, and this was a perfect occasion for me. I have lectured a couple of times and written also in Danish newspapers and magazines, but often when I was invited to many of the higher educational institutions, I found that the books were quite old and often talking about caste system and things like that, but there was hardly anything about economy and the new India that I think needed a presentation. And most important of all, the history of the new diaspora that has come. So I think many of these things have been included, and I offered a couple of copies to many of these institutions, and they said, can I forward this? Can you give us in writing that we can print extra copies and give it to our students and make it a part of the syllabus, etc. So there is a great excitement about anything new coming from India, and they have welcomed this. And you know, it is a great pleasure for me to stand and privilege to stand on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's day. I lived most of my life in Gujarat, and every second person we bump into is a Patel or a Shah. And I can imagine that you know, when you live in Gujarat, you know this Patel spirit of unity and the amount of work that Sardar Patel has actually done. So even when I talk to my sister who lives now in USA, and she says that Gujarati community and many of them Patels are so successful, and it is not because they put extra hours in studying, but they put extra hours in uniting the community. They always say, you can work with me, you can, it doesn't matter, you know, you do not have the proper qualifications, but you know, we have this or this project going on and you can be included. So this part of inclusion and accepting and integrating is very much one of the things that I would also associate with the Patel people. And maybe I'm thinking of writing about one article on Patels. And this idea was given to me by nobody less than George W. Bush, the President of America, his best advisor, the most important advisor. He was for 2 days in Denmark, and he said to me, nobody knows, not even in America, the importance of Gujaratis and Patels. Why don't you write about that? So, and that is still there. Maybe we can bring those kind of things in the coming magazines. But I'm very thankful to Manish Prabhat ji, because he has been very helpful and gave us time whenever we needed and guidance whenever we needed. And thankful to also the Gujarati community, the very first page, and you know, the colorful photo that impresses a lot of Danish people. There's a girl sitting right there at the end, Art Gohel. Maybe you can stand up, and we should give an applause for bringing, I think, one of the best photos. Yeah. And I took permission from her and said, you know, I know we have decided, but I found this photo to be so nice, and she accepted, and we brought her photo on the very first article. And likewise, a lot of people have cooperated, and in that sense, I think this is the beginning, and it is our mission, actually, those of us who live here, to present this new face of India. There is, you know, there is elections going on, and one of the things that has, because of our importance of Indian diaspora, no politician ever has said anything negative about Indians. Even the party on the extreme right, they just say, you know, okay, there are certain group of people we don't like and we don't want, but not the others. And they mentioned, among others, Indians. So Indians have had that impact that among a wide spectrum of people now in Denmark are saying that we need well-educated Indians, we need these people who get well integrated, who accept our norms, etc., which is also the topic for today. So I would thank Manish Prabhatji and all of those, especially the culture department, who send us a lot of photos to us. And thank you, everybody.
Now I will request Ambassador Sir, Ma'am, Mr. Harwani, Mrs. Harwani, Council Political and Commercial, and Ashish Ajay Sir, to come forward for the release of 11th revised edition of Indians in Denmark by Mr. Harwani.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So we'll all get a copy.
Yes. Request Mr. Harwani to share his thoughts about releasing this magazine.
Namaskar, good evening, and welcome. I have prepared this speech in English, but as everybody is Indian here, so I would like to talk in Hindi. If you ask. So it's not prepared in speech now. Right. मैं डायरेक्टर के बारे में बताऊंगा, एक तूफानी रात थी। हम मिस्टर मोहन सिंह बैस था जब जिसका रेस्टोरेंट था यहाँ पर, उसके साथ कुछ इंडियन के घर में गए थे न्यू ईयर के मनाने के लिए। तो वहाँ पर कुछ 20 हिंदुस्तानी बैठे थे और बातें कर रहे थे कि हमारे पास एम्बेसी से कोई लेटर नहीं आता। तो उनको मैंने कहा भाई लेटर क्यों आएगा जब आपका एड्रेस उनके पास नहीं है। तो उन्होंने कहा कैसे करें। तो उस तो मुझे आइडिया आया, आज से 35-40 पता नहीं कितने साल हो गए। तो मैंने सोचा क्यों नहीं मैं एक किताब बनाऊँ। एक उस टाइम 200 इंजन थे खाली, तो डेटाबेस, मैं कंप्यूटर इंजीनियर हूँ या अभी यू कैन से इंजीनियर, तो मैंने डेटाबेस बनाया एक छोटा सा जिसमें 200 हिंदुस्तानी थे और वो मैंने एम्बेसी को प्रेजेंट किया। ये जन्म हुआ बात इंडियन डायरेक्टरी ऑफ इंडियन डेवलपमेंट का। उसके बाद जैसे जैसे ग्रो होते गए तो हमने सोचा कि इसमें कुछ और भी चीज़ें डालें। पहले एडिशन में खाली हिंदुस्तानी के नाम पते थे और कुछ नहीं था। तो बाद मैंने सोचा कि देखो जो भी एक्टिविटीज़ होती है यहाँ पर हिंदुस्तानियों की, उसको क्यों नहीं कंपाइल किया जाए। वो भी हो गया। इस तरह से अभी एडिशन जो है 11 एडिशन, नंबर 11 एडिशन है ये। इसमें आप देखेंगे तो आपको पुरानी यादें जैसे भारतीय प्रधानमंत्री, हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री इंदिरा गांधी से लेकर के वाजपेयी साहब से लेकर जो यहाँ आए थे हिंदुस्तान से डेनमार्क में, उनकी यादें हैं, उनकी फ़ोटोज़ हैं। उसके बाद में यहाँ जो डेलीगेशन जाता है, ट्रेड डेलीगेशन हिंदुस्तान में, उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन है। और इंडिया डेनमार्क के बीच जो भी रिलेशन है उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन है। मैं बताता हूँ, एक नावल लिखने में मैं 2 घंटे में नावल लिख सकता हूँ, 2 घंटे में। लेकिन इसको लिखने के लिए, इसको बनाने के लिए मुझे 1 साल लगा, क्योंकि इसमें डाटा कंपाइल करने के लिए यू हैव टू लुक फॉर इट, यू हैव टू सर्च एवरी डे न्यू डाटा कम्स टू मेक इट अपडेट, यू हैव टू वर्क हार्ड। आप बिलीव नहीं करेंगे, मैं सुबह 4 बजे काम पे जाता हूँ, सुबह 4 बजे 35 अखबार रोज पढ़ता हूँ और करीब दुनिया भर के चैनल को मैं यानी स्क्रॉल करता हूँ, सब देखता हूँ। Because I don't believe any one media, because I believe what they say and then I try to see वो क्या कहना चाहते हैं, like that. तो मैं भारतीय दूतावास का, श्री मनीष प्रभात जी का और एम्बेसी स्टाफ का, कल खास करके अशोक पार्वत जो यहाँ पर है, जो कमर्शियल सेक्शन से है, उन्होंने बहुत मदद की कुछ कंपाइल करने के अंदर कि भाई कैसे क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है। और जो आपके पारुल जैन है यहाँ पर, उन्होंने भी बहुत मदद की। हालांकि फोटोग्राफ्स मेरे थे, लेकिन फोटोग्राफ्स को डिटेल्स चाहिए थे, उसको कैसे करना है, कैसे नहीं करना है, वो हमने किया। अब मैं आपको थोड़ा डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन देना चाहता हूँ। मैं जो ये बताना चाहता हूँ, जैसे मैंने डायरेक्टरी बनाई तो उस टाइम मेरे ध्यान में आया, अच्छा उसका क्या होगा। तो मेरा टीवी चैनल भी था यहाँ पर और ये करीब 15 साल 17 साल में टीवी चैनल चलाया। दुनिया का पहला टीवी स्टेशन टेरेस्टेरियर डेनमार्क में मैंने चलाया। तो एक दिन मेरे बच्चे का फोन आया, किसी बच्चे का, कोई 5 साल का बच्चा था। उसने कहा अंकल मेरे पापा ने आपके टीवी में एक गाना गाया था, वो मुझे देखना है। अब मैं कैसे क्या करूँ, मेरे पास यूमेटिक कैसेट थी। तो उस टाइम पे मैंने फिर सोचा कि चलो उसको क्यों नहीं यूट्यूब चैनल बना लिया जाए। तो उस बच्चे के 5 साल के इंस्पिरेशन से मैंने यूट्यूब चैनल बनाया, इंडियाविजन, जो अभी बहुत फेमस है। इसके अभी बताता हूँ, व्यूअर्स जो हैं $750,000 व्यूज, 4.94K सब्सक्राइबर्स, और ये 2013 में इस्टेब्लिश किया था मैंने। आपको जानकर आश्चर्य होगा, ये जो लोगो गवर्नमेंट अपने यूज करती है अभी, ये मैंने डिजाइन किया था। आज से करीब 45-50 साल पहले कंप्यूटर पे बैठ के एक कंप्यूटर ग्राफिक्स से मैंने बात की। हमने इसको बनाने में एक 1 महीना लगाया, रोज 4 घंटे 5 घंटे काम करते थे। अल्टीमेटली ये लोगो बना और उसके बाद मुझे खुशी है कि इसी लोगों को एक साउथ में टीवी चैनल है, मलायालम टीवी चैनल, उन्होंने कॉपी किया, उन्होंने यूज़ किया और सेम नाम यूज़ किया, और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने भी यूज़ किया इस लोगों को सब चीज़ों के अंदर। जब ये लोगो बना तो मैंने इसको टीवी में यूज़ किया। उस टाइम में पाकिस्तानी लोग मेरे पास आए, बोले कि सर आपने कश्मीर को इसमें क्यों दिखाया? सीधी सच्ची बात है ये। तो मैंने कहा भाई देखो, मैंने जो किया है किया, आपको जो कुछ करना है कर लो। और आपको खुशी होगी जान के कि मेरे व्यूअर्स सब पाकिस्तानी थे। रास्ते में जाते थे तो बच्चे मिलते थे, कहते थे अंकल अंकल कल आप क्या दिखाएंगे टीवी के अंदर। ऐसा पॉपुलर था क्योंकि इंडियन कम्युनिटी तो छोटी सी थी उस टाइम पे कोई मेरे ख्याल से 4 या 5 हज़ार लोग थे, लेकिन पाकिस्तान उस टाइम में 70,000, और मेरा टीवी चैनल जो था उस टाइम पे करीब 5 लाख या 6 लाख लोग देखते थे। सिर्फ हिंदुस्तानी सिर्फ 400 लोग थे, 4,500 लोग थे उस टाइम पे, और 5 लाख लोग देखे टीवी को। कौन थे इसमें? इजिप्शियन, ईरानी, इराकी, क्योंकि हिंदुस्तानी म्यूजिक सबको पसंद आता था। ठीक है, ये रही टीवी की बात। आपके लिए लोगो है, इसके पीछे एक क्यूआर कोड बनाया मैंने, इसको मैं रख दूंगा, जिसको भी चाहिए। जो भी मेरे चैनल्स हैं आपको डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर। अच्छा, डायरेक्टली जो है इसका इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वर्जन भी है, ये मैं रख देता हूँ यहाँ पर। कोई भी इसको क्यूआर कोड को स्कैन करके अपने मोबाइल पे इसको सेव कर सकता है। और याद रखिए, ये वर्जन आपको अपडेट वर्जन मिलेगा। मैं सुबह 4 बजे उठ के वो बता नहीं 35 अखबार पढ़ता हूँ रोज। उसमें हिंदुस्तान के बारे में जो भी दुनिया के अखबार हैं, जैसे न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स है, वाशिंगटन पोस्ट है, गार्जियन है, फाइनेंशियल टाइम्स है, सब अखबारों के जो कटिंग्स होते हैं जो हिंदुस्तान के बारे में लिखते हैं वो इसमें डालता हूँ सुबह को। और हिंदुस्तान में जो डेनमार्क के बारे में लिखते हैं वो भी उसमें कटिंग्स आपको उसी दिन मिलेगी, विदिन 1 आवर यू कैन सी ऑन द वेबसाइट। इसके अलावा इसमें मैंने देखा कि हिंदुस्तानी यहाँ पर जो कहते हैं आपस में किसी को कैसे बुलाएं, कैसे किसी को बताएं कि क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है। तो इसमें वेबसाइट पे एक फैसिलिटी है, कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है चाहे तो उस पर अपना कमिंग प्रोग्राम, कमिंग इवेंट डाल सकता है। उसको हम एडिट करते हैं, देखते हैं सही बात है गलत है, तो गलत भी आ सकते हैं ना, क्योंकि इसमें डेटाबेस में कुछ लोग हिंदुस्तान से भी रजिस्टर करते हैं, जो कि मैं बाद में निकाल देता हूँ, क्योंकि दिस इज ओनली फॉर पीपल लिविंग इन डेनमार्क, तो उनको निकाल देता हूँ उनको मैं। तो उसमें आपको जो एक्टिविटीज़ होती है वो भी आप डाल सकते हैं, तो अपडेट इसको देख सकते हैं। हालांकि एम्बेसी का पेज भी अभी है, जो फेसबुक है, पता नहीं कितने है जाना। हालांकि मैं टेक्नोलॉजी बिलीव नहीं करता, आई एम इंजीनियर बाय सेल्फ, लेकिन आई डोंट बिलीव इन AI। आई यूज AI इन माई टीवी प्रोग्राम्स बट आई डोंट ट्रस्ट इट। एक चीज़ को बनाने के अंदर मुझे उसको करेक्शन करने के लिए 20 दफ़ा कर देखना पड़ता है। सही। अच्छा, अब आपको डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन दूंगा मेरी वेबसाइट का। ये हमारा मेन पेज खुलता है जो इंडिया विजन का। अभी इसमें आप जाइए इंडियंस इन डेनमार्क, तो यहाँ पर आपको मिलता है ऑप्शन रजिस्टर योरसेल्फ। तो इसमें आपका ऑप्शन होता है अपना नाम पता रजिस्टर कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर। तो इसके अंदर जो भी डाटा है वो ऑथेंटिक है, लोगों ने खुद रजिस्टर किए हुए हैं। इसके अलावा एक फॉर्म भी है जो लोगों ने रजिस्टर करके मुझे भेजे हैं, तो इसमें जो डाटा ऑथेंटिक है। हाँ, अगर पुरानी हो जाती है, अगर कोई रिन्यू नहीं कराता तो उसको मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता। अच्छा, अब आइए इवेंट्स पे जाइए, तो इसमें देखेंगे तो उसको स्क्रॉल करो, कहीं पर भी देखा कोई इवेंट दिखा इवेंट्स फ्रॉम द एम्बेसी ऑफ इंडिया ने दिखा। जैसे ये इवेंट था 2019 का, ये आपको उसकी डिटेल्स मिलेंगे। यहाँ पर आपको 1000 से ज़्यादा वीडियो मिलेंगे, जो कि ऑथेंटिक वीडियो है और मेरा खुद को मिला है। तो इसके आगे वो कुछ नहीं करना चाहता। अगर आपको कुछ सवाल पूछना है तो मैं आ जाऊँ।
As I see that in Denmark you can speak Hindi, so I seek your permission of the House and His Excellency's permission to speak in Hindi as well.
Thank you.
So मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा, मेरा जन्म बनारस में हुआ और मैं बिरसा मुंडा की ज़मीन पर पढ़ा और बड़ा हुआ वहाँ पे। मैंने अपना क्लास 8th, 9th, 10th एक छोटी सी जगह चाईबासा से किया, जब वो बिहार का पार्ट होता था, झारखंड एक स्टेट नहीं था, और साइकिल पे जाता था तीर कमान बांध के अपने पीछे, क्योंकि उस समय थोड़ा अनरेस्ट चलता था। और 25 साल की उम्र में जो भगवान का दर्जा बिरसा मुंडा जी को दिया गया था, उसकी पूरी कहानी और उसकी गांव की बातें हम लोग को बताई जाती थी। मुझे अभी भी याद है कि मैं 7 किलोमीटर साइकिल चलाता था, 3.5 दोनों साइड, और वो आदत आज भी नहीं गई है। और हमारा देश कैसे कई चीज़ों को नहीं जानता है। न्यू ट्राइबल एक्ट 2012 में बन रहा था, तो उसमें बहुत सारी कमियां थी, और ये मेरी ड्यूटी है बताने की कि 2011-12 में, क्योंकि ट्राइबल्स जो जनजाति है ना, वो हमारे कंट्री की नींव है, स्टील फ्रेम है। उन्होंने हमेशा एक क्वाइट रिवॉल्यूशन किया है। जब पेड़ को आप काटने जाते हो तो सबसे पहले वो अपने बाहों को फैला लेते हैं। उन्होंने बताया कि संसाधन का यूज कैसे करना है, हजारों साल से, कि अगर जितनी उनको जरूरत है जंगल से सिर्फ उतना लेना है, ये हमने उनसे सीखा है। फॉरेस्ट का रिसोर्सेज को कैसे यूज करना चाहिए, ये जनजाति से, ट्राइबल से सीखा जाता है। क्योंकि मैं उनके साथ बचपन का टाइम था, आप उनके घर देख लीजिए, आपको कुछ भी बताने की जरूरत है, सबसे स्वच्छ होंगे, साफ होंगे, सुंदर होंगे। और सबसे बड़ी बात है, चाहे आप छत्तीसगढ़ जाएं, चाहे झारखंड जाएं, चाहे उड़ीसा जाएं, आपको ये कॉमन थ्रेड मिलेगा कि वो क्लीनलीनेस में कितना ज्यादा बिलीव करते हैं। पर जो सबसे बड़ी बात है कि जब हमारे कंट्री के इंटीग्रेशन की बात आती है, आपने कभी ऐसा सुना है कि एक भी डिस्कॉर्ड का वर्ड उनकी तरफ से आया हो? और जब उनके लिए एक एक्ट बन रहा था, और ये थोड़ा सा पॉलिटिकल इशू है और इस पे मैं अपने व्यूज दिए थे कि ये कोई भी एक्ट ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए जो उनके संसाधन और उनके राइट्स के बीच में डिवीजन क्रिएट करे। उन लोगों ने कभी ज्यादा नहीं मांगा। आपने उनको बोला कि हमें टाइगर बचाना है, वो जंगलों के बाहर जाके सेटल हो गए। आपने उनको बोला टाइगर क्यों बचाना है, तो उन्होंने आपको बताया टाइगर कैसे बचाना है। उन्होंने बताया कि अगर आप टाइगर को बचाओगे तो फॉरेस्ट बचेगा, फॉरेस्ट बचेगा तो सॉइल बचेगा, सॉइल बचेगा तो बारिश होगी, बारिश होगी तो 140 करोड़ लोग चैन से रह पाएंगे। तो इस देश में बड़ी कमाल की चीजें हैं, और उनके योगदान को अगर हम एज ए देश, एज ए कंट्री सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। मैं 2-3 इंडिकेटर्स आपको देना चाहता हूं हमारे कंट्री का इंटीग्रेशन कितना तेज हो रहा है। आज आप देखें, जितने भी जनजातीय खाने हैं, मिलेट और ये सारी चीजें, और फर्मेंटेड जो कॉफी और ये सारी चीजें पी रहे हैं, वो सारी चीजें एक्चुअली ट्राइबल एरिया से ही ओरिजिनेट करती हैं, और हम उनका योगदान देखते हैं अपने लाइफ में। दूसरी बात जो आपको ध्यान देने की जरूरत है कि उनका इंटीग्रेशन कभी भी एक इशू नहीं रहा। उन्होंने जब कभी फॉरेस्ट राइट्स की बात हुई, वो सबसे पहली कतार में थे। आपको पता है जब आजादी के समय हमारी फॉरेस्ट कवर कितना था? हमारा फॉरेस्ट कवर 8 to 9% था। आज क्या है इंडिया का फॉरेस्ट कवर? जबकि पूरी जो भी रिच एंड एफ्लुएंट है वो अफ्रीका जाता है गेम रिजर्व्स में, केन्या में और जाम्बिया में और कुछ कंट्री में। इंडिया में कहीं हंटिंग नहीं होती है। आप एक एलिफेंट या टाइगर या बार्किंग डियर को छू नहीं सकते, देख नहीं सकते। अगर आप फिल्म स्टार में, अगर आपने दूर से भी देखा तो आज तक उसकी कीमत चुका रहे हैं आप। तो उसका रीजन है कि हम उनको वर्शिप करते हैं, हम उनको अपने साथ लेके चलते हैं, हम उनकी इज्जत करते हैं, पेड़ों की इज्जत करते हैं, पेड़ों के साथ रहना चाहते हैं। हम लैंड सोसाइटी बनाते हैं, हम मधु उतना ही निकालते हैं जंगल से जितना हमें जरूरत होती है। तो ये जो आपस का परस्पर संबंध है, ये जो इंटीग्रेशन का जो मैसेज जनजातीय लोग देते हैं, और उनको आप वो कई लोगों को लगता है कि उनको पॉलिटिकल सेंस कम है या ये है, और इस पर मैं ज्यादा नहीं बोल सकता, लेकिन मैं आपको बताऊं उनको बहुत अच्छी सी क्लैरिटी की उनकी कंट्री कितनी यूनाइटेड है। वो आज के दिन में आप अगर आप बिलासपुर जाते हैं और कई मौका मिले रांची भी जाएं, वहाँ के जो सबसे अच्छे साउथ इंडियन रेस्टोरेंट्स हैं कंट्री के, वो आज के दिन में रांची हैं। सारे इंटीग्रेशन हो चुके हैं। आप बैंगलोर जाएंगे आपको सबसे अच्छा छोले भटूरा मिल जाता है। त्रिवेंद्रम में मुझे बताया गया कि 17 तरह के सांभर हैं। पहले मुझे पता था कि त्रिशूर का सांभर अलग होता है, त्रिवेंद्रम का अलग होता है, कालीकट का अलग होता है, बिकॉज ऑफ द 3 religions which they have in Kerala. Now they have 17 kinds of sambar in Kerala alone. We are a unique country and we are swelling with pride. We have a great future. Thank you.
I'm going to say thanks to the sir, Ambassador sir, for inviting me for this event. And it is a great pleasure to see there is an Indian diaspora is doing so good in Denmark, and they are trying to integrate here and being a part of the main Danish system. I'm very proud to see that. Thanks for inviting me, sir. This is the great event you have organized. And Rashtriya Ekta Diwas, as we know, is the very famously actually known for the whole world for the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's birth year. So we are happy to celebrate that with you here. Now our topic is very easy today, integration and how to integrate here. So first of all, I would like to say that I come from India. And I come from a very small part of Mumbai, which is called as Kalyan. And I'm the best example for the unity and integration in India. Because I have born and brought up in Mumbai, Kalyan, which is a small part of Mumbai. Kalyan is a very small part of Mumbai. And after I have done my graduation, post-graduation in Mumbai, in the dentistry, I become a specialist dentistry. I was practicing and I was a professor in dentist. And after that, I met my husband, who comes from the another part of the India, which is from the Ranchi, which is a small part of the basically in India. His mother, my husband's mother comes from Bihar, and his fathers come from Rajasthan. So you can see we are from different parts of the India. Now their parents are living in Delhi. He is also from Delhi now. And I'm from Mumbai, and we got married. You can understand it is basically a marriage, which is a marriage based on the love marriage basis. So we have seen different culture backgrounds in our marriage and our life. And my son is born and brought up in Denmark. He is a Danish citizen. He is born here. He doesn't speak any language other than Danish and English. So we had a family of the cultural integration, and this is the new India. This is the face of the India where we are coming from different backgrounds. We have to forget where we come from. We have to just remember we are the India, and we are going to make the nation proud outside the India. And we are the representative and ambassador of India. Sir is doing extremely good job as cultural wise, and it's our duty to do extra good job as sir to here in Denmark. So integration is very, very important. It's very easy to say you have to integrate, but nobody says how to integrate. Integration comes from within. It has to come from within. We have to become the part of the society. How? Accept that we are outsider here, but we are going to be part of the society. We are not going to forget our values, our tradition and our culture. Rather, we are going to contribute our values in the new country. But you have to respect also their values, their contribution and their traditions also. By learning the language, integration becomes very easy. Now we are in Denmark, we have to learn their language. It is very important. Danish is a very different language. I know those who say Danish is very easy. I say go to India and see there are thousands of languages. Still, I cannot speak South Indian language. Vandakam in the South Indian language is more difficult than saying welcome in Danish. I think so. I can speak actually 5 different Indian languages because languages has their own flavor, you know. But in Denmark, when we are here, we have to learn the language and it opens the doors of the integration. When the integration comes, the job opportunity, acceptance in the society, it's become very, very easy because you can actually contribute in the welfare society. You can become the part of the society. I'm the best example of that. When I came to Denmark, actually, I came as a trailing spouse to my husband without any job, without knowing about Denmark, because I read in the books that Denmark, where there are many cows are there, and it is only famous for the milk and the arla and nothing else. That is the only limited thing we have learned about Denmark that time, around 16, 17 years back. So I actually landed in Denmark and I saw the country is very small and language is the biggest barrier here. You cannot do anything if you don't learn the language. First of all, I started my language courses, which was an extensive course. I have done. Now I will again say, my husband has said, you should say 8 hours because you have done 8 hours. So yes, I have done 8 hours. 8 hours every day for the 1 year. Because of the authorization of dentistry here in Denmark, when you are a specialist dentist, you need to have a very high level of fluency in the language. Though I know many different languages from India, 5 different languages, but here in Denmark, the Danish is the only communicating language, and I have done my 1.5 year complete learning in the language. I become very fluent. As soon as learning language came, all the barriers, other barriers are dropped down. I started actually integrating with the people, talking with my neighbors, talking with my friends and relatives, other parts of the Danish society, and it's become very easy. And then I started my authorization exam, which was again extensive, where we have to give many exams. That is a dentistry exam on the patients, and that has in the Copenhagen University. So I done around that in 2.5 years, and 3 years I finished everything. And after that, the resignation I have done, which is the, if you practice as a dentist, you need to have a laws which are known here that you have to learn. So I have done that also. And then I work under, I had my authorization work. And after that, I landed in the job. And this was the very extensive process. I finished that. After that, the struggle didn't stop there. You have to come to the work market. You have to come to the job market. And that also a big struggle. When you start talking language, then coming to the job and presenting yourself in Danish is again a barrier. But it's not impossible. It is possible once you start speaking the Danish. So I have done I got the first job. I started with a very good job. I landed in a second job. So it was going very good. After some time, I became a Danish citizen. And after citizenship, I understood as a citizen, you cannot just take the citizenship. You have to be active citizen. And democracy is very valid here. There is no hierarchy, there is no problems. You can actually speak your mind here in Denmark. So why not represent our values, Indian culture and tradition to the Danish society and see there is a girl who's come from the thousands kilometers away and she can be a proud face of India and represent India proudly. That's why I'm contesting in the election now. I'm contesting for the election in the Odense commune, that is called as Kommunale Valg, which is called as a municipal election, and regional level, which is called as a state level. Now I will just explain how it is. In India, we have a municipal election, state level election, and the parliament election. It is the same like there in Denmark, kommunale valg, regionale valg, and folketing. So there are different elections. So I am first to election, I am contesting. And I am very proud to represent myself. And I am actually meeting many people, learning, and most of the people, they surprised to see when today I'm not wearing a sari because I came directly from my job. I work as a dentist and I'm actually working also for the election part now, so I come directly. But when I wear the sari, they get surprised. They will see me in the sari. Oh my God, you are wearing sari. Where you come from? That is the first question. And second question, which part of India you come from? As soon as I say India. And I proudly say I come from Maharashtra. And that's a part of where is the Shivaji Raja and Rani Lakshmi Bai has fought very furiously for our nation. So we have a biggest history, and we should proudly say that we come from India and we represent India. Now we have just talked about the Birsa Munda. I have a good memory when I was talking, as I said, my husband comes from Jharkhand. And I just asked him, what is there in Jharkhand to see? He said there is a Birsa Munda airport, there is a Birsa Munda sports club, there is a Birsa Munda ground, and there is a Birsa Munda jail. Yeah.
And there is a Birsa Munda chalk also.
Chalk also, exactly. So my husband said that is Birsa Munda, and that is the way I get first introduced to Birsa Munda. And then I started learning what is exactly Birsa Munda. And I'm surprised to see he was the person who has done so much from the Indian history. And I'm very sorry to say, we have never taught in our history books about the Birsa Munda. Because my husband has done his graduation in Jharkhand and he was in BIT, that's why I got the opportunity to learn about the Birsa Munda. But I'm very thankful to the Ashok sir, to the Ambassador sir and Ashok sir inviting me and just introducing to the Birsa Munda has done so much for our country. So I will come back to the integration part. Integration is also very important when you are coming to the outside country, because when you are integrating into the community, you are actually representing your community, you are becoming the part of the new community, and you are not forgetting your roots. You are actually representing your nation, you are representing your family, you are representing your values. So you have to feel very proud in that. Instead of saying, I come from India, you should say that I come from that part of India which is having the biggest diaspora in the world. Our Indian diaspora is doing extremely good all over the world. We are the highest remittance country in the world. You can see there are the different politicians, different doctors, engineers, they come from India and they are doing extremely good in the different parts of the world. So we should feel proud about that. And instead of thinking that we come from different parts of India, when we come outside, we have to be a single unit and we should representative as us as an Indian instead of the different parts. I will again say thank you to the sir and madam for giving me opportunity to speak, and it is a great pleasure to be part of this function. Thank you.
Namaste everybody, and good evening, of course. I'm truly honored to be here today celebrating Rashtriya Ekta Diwas, a day that reminds us the strength of the unity and vision of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and the importance of standing together as one community. My heartfelt thanks to the Embassy of India in Copenhagen for bringing us all together, Indians, friends of India, and those who call Denmark home. It's a reminder that unity is not just a word. It's something we live every day in the way we support and uplift one another. When I first came to Denmark, I was full of hope, but also uncertainty. Everything was new, the language, the weather, and the traffic rules, of course. There were moments when I felt lost, not because I didn't have directions in my life, because I couldn't move freely. I still remember first time I drove, my hands were shaking, but my heart was full of determination. Determination of I want to do something. I want to be independent. Still, the small step learning to drive in a new country become a turning point in my life. It wasn't just about getting from one place to another. It was about freedom. It was about confidence. It was about feeling at home in a country I had chosen to make my own. And where the idea of driving school came from. From a simple dream to help others, especially women and internationals, experience the same freedom and confidence. At Driving School, we don't just teach people how to pass the test, We teach them how to deliver, how to become more confident in themselves. We help internationals and newcomers to understand Danish road culture, to overcome the language barrier and drive safely with confidence. But more importantly, we create safe space where people can say, yes, I can do this. I can be independent. I can build my life here in Denmark. Over the years, I have seen women who once hesitated to sit behind the wheel, but now they are driving confidently. They are going to work, they are dropping their kids to school, or you name it. And yeah, I also have seen newcomers who once relied on others, now exploring Denmark with joy and confidence. Now they have gotten freedom. These moments remind me that integration is not just about politics or policies or system. It's about empowerment. It's about one person at a time. And for me, driving becomes the bridge between cultures, between dreams, between self-doubt and self-belief. On this Rashtriya Ekta Diwas, as we remember Sardar Patel's vision of unity, see the same spirit right here in Denmark, where we come from different places, but we share one goal: to grow, to contribute, and to move forward together. My message tonight is simple. Integration begins with understanding. Confidence begins with opportunity. The unity begins with kindness. So let's continue to support one another in our workplace, our schools, our communities, and even on the roads we share. And if anyone here, or you know someone, wishes to take that first step towards independency, know their own driving school is there for them, to guide with the patience, compassion, and care. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks to Mr. Ambassador and Embassy of India to giving me this opportunity to stand here. I'm really obliged. So at the end, so let's again, in the remembrance of our freedom fighter, let's have something for them. The thing they like, the thing we like. So, Bharat Mata ki Jai! Bharat Mata ki Jai! Vande Mataram! Vande Mataram! Bharat Mata ki Jai! And my salute to all freedom fighters. I have so much respect because of them. I'm standing here. I have freedom. Thank you so much.
Madam Ambassador and fellow colleagues, Indians, thank you so much to the embassy for giving me this opportunity. I had written down a few points, and since I'm in the middle of the schedule, I think Dr. Smith actually covered quite a few points for me, right? But then I had to redo, what do I speak about? But I will still go through. I've been, this is over the last 25 years, I've been overseas now, away from India, away from home, and stayed in 6 countries. So not a permanent, similar to ambassador's role, we are forced to move every few years, and that's part of my role. But I think in terms of integrating with the countries that we move to or we stay in, I think the very first important what I find it is finding our own support and ecosystem. Finding like-minded friends, people we can talk to because family is not nearby. I think that's very important. I think a lot of the diaspora here in the room has been for many years, and I think that's where we also need to come and support this fresh talent that is coming into the country, who are finding their new roots in this part of the world. So I think we need to find our own support system, but at the same time, we also need to support those who are coming in from leaving back their home. Integration, as also Madam mentioned, or Dr. Sokka mentioned, learn language. So prior to Denmark, I was in Japan. And the saying was, language सीखनी है तो यहाँ तो girlfriend बना लो या boyfriend बना लो, लोग प्यार सब सिखा देते हैं. But that was a challenge, right? If you're married with family, you can't do that, and that's why we have to put 8 hours of effort to. We had to learn Japanese. a bit of Japanese so that I can communicate with my partners in the industry and integrate myself into that culture. With the kids as well, right? So children, I think that's, if we are here in the country for long term, I think integrating the kids into the local school system, that's very, very, very important, because they are the ones who would really work, and especially on the ground. When kids are on the ground, local language is spoken, and that's where they need to integrate. Know thy neighbor. I think India में तो हम पड़ोसी के घर चले जाते हैं, मिठाई ले जाते हैं. I think that's very, very important, because neighbors, again, they don't know us. We again, I would always go back to Japan. I've only been here for less than 2 years. Japan was a longer experience for me, and then is how do Japanese see, how do I represent, and that was very, very important. So I think जब बिरयानी बनती है, खुशबू तो बाजू वाले घर पे जाती है, पड़ोसी के घर पे जाती है, तो उन्हें खिला भी दीजिए थोड़ी, because that's where we kind of integrate with them, right? Understanding the local culture, I think that's very, very important. Appreciating them. हम काफी बार फ्रेंड्स में सुनते हैं ये तो ऐसा ही करते हैं, बट ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, हम ऐसा क्यों करते हैं? I think we really need to integrate ourselves to learn what the Danish culture is about. How do they work, precision, on time, or whatever the way of their life they have been living with. How do we understand that? And not only learning, but we also got to exchange, right? Exchange of culture is very, very important. We also need to showcase our culture. Work ethics. I'll just quickly share a story from on this one. Air India's current CEO, Mr. Campbell Wilson, he was my boss. He comes from Singapore Airlines. He was my boss back in the day, and he also had a stint in Japan. So before I actually moved to Japan, we had a one-on-one session, and I said, okay, any words of wisdom for me? So he said, look, I know you've been with the company, you will represent Singapore Airlines very nicely in Japan. But when I moved to Japan, I, as a New Zealander, people were not only looking at how I work, but they were also judging how New Zealanders work in Japan. And that kind of, so he says, when you're there, there will be a lot of Indian, but maybe you're the first one that's going into the aviation industry, you're working with travel agencies, with embassies, and people will look how Indian functions in that environment. And that has really stuck with me, because people not only look as, how do Indians work in that culture. And I think that's very relevant in Denmark, because today there are a lot many Indians who are the first timers in their company, whether it's IT services or whichever, there's only 1 or 2 in each company probably. Of course from the bigger firms, but the newer firms that is accepting the Indian talent, we are probably the first ones to be there. And I think it's very important to also showcase how Indians work in their work ethics as well. So I think that's really important. I think it's also learning from both sides. So while we learn from them, they learn from us, but I think it's also something we need to bring this back to India. I think that's where development and progression of India would come in, right? So हम यहाँ तो सीख ही रहे हैं, driving कैसे straight चलानी है, horn नहीं मारना है. Same thing, I think we need to go back and again integrate to our cousins, our friends, our relatives, how does life work, and that will bring India to the next level. Follow rules, I think that's very, very important. Law of land, I think for us as end of the day, we are still not the local citizens, we are expats who are working in. I've always found this, as Indians, हम जुगाड़ में लग जाते हैं, right? ये shortcut कैसा होगा, ये कैसा होगा, अब यहाँ से कैसे cut कर लें. But I think end of the day, if we integrate well ourselves in the country, life is less complex. I think that's very, very important, and I think that really smoothens up the whole process of settling in any foreign country, for that matter. Last 2 points. I think supporting fellow community. I think I was at we had the mission coming in for Operation Sindhu, the delegation that came in. Ambassador Sir was reading about, we have about 30 over associations. And I think the visiting delegation also mentioned that individually, yes, we are 32 because there are multiple associations. We need that connect. End of the day, I think we need to show that unity of India as one. We are one country, and I think that's why we really need to work very, very closely with the embassy. Especially these events, or where we're actually showcasing our culture. I think Namaste Denmark was one of the events where we also participate, but I think that's where all the associations need to come together and showcase strength of India. And final one, this one again, Prime Minister Modi ji, when he used to visit Japan, his message was, जब आप India आ रहे हैं, try and bring one Japanese friend with you. And I think I would say that if you have, once you have known your neighbor, friendship बन चुकी है, आप integrate हो चुके हैं, जब आप इंडिया आ रहे हैं, bring one Danish friend with you, let him see new India, and I think let them explore that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Ambassador. If you're living here in Gentofte, you might have seen my face hanging in some light poles, and that is true. It's because I'm running for the election here in Gentofte. And I would be honored to have your vote and honored to use this time for campaign, but as the ambassador said, that is not why I'm here today. I'm here to speak about something much more important, and that is you. Why should you get involved in politics in Denmark, and why should you engage in the local community? I often think back to when America succeeded from the British. There, one of the slogans in Boston was, "No taxation without representation." And here, we also fundamentally see why you should vote. But maybe pause for a moment and think, why am I even allowed to vote? The very fact, and many people actually I meet don't even know this, that you as a non-citizen can actually vote in the municipality elections if you've lived here more than 4 years or if you are an EU citizen. That is because this election affects you in a very different way than the Folketing election does. The local schools, where your kids go to school, I visited a school and I was appalled by the facilities, and you wouldn't think that we are one of the richest countries per capita in the world. Everything from the school bathroom to facilities in the classroom. This is also where your kids go to school. The roads you take to go to work. And more importantly, the service level that you get. I was also astonished by another fact, which the ambassador told me on the Republic Day, that Indians and the Indian community in Denmark is paying the most taxes of any community in Denmark, when we also deserve to get a say in how those taxes and that money is used. We should also benefit. When I first went into politics, I did so because I was tired that, okay, some people are taking some decisions that I disagreed about, but what was I going to do about it? Our party leader is the Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen, and he told me that if you do not vote, you lose the right to complain the next 4 years. And this very sentence made me think, not only do I need to vote, but I actually need to get active and involved. Now I do understand, some of you here cannot vote in this election. And you might think I'm not speaking to you, but I am. You can, of course, the most powerful thing you have is to vote, but you can also get involved in other ways. You can find a candidate. We have a brilliant candidate here in Odense, and support them. Of course, there's a monetary donation, you can donate money to them, but you can also just help them, stand with them when they are standing in darkness in the Danish winter at a station, dealing pamphlets out to people, or take 100 flyers to put in the different, in your community, in the different inboxes there. There's many, many different ways. And then do complain, actually. Do complain if there's a hole in the road outside of your house that you think this needs to be fixed. Do complain if you think the services that your kids or that you yourself are getting are not good enough. This is your right as a democratic citizen of this country. Now, also in respect that I think there's 3 more speakers after me, I will not make my speech too long. You can find me afterwards if you have any questions or if there's a Q&A session at the end. But please take it with you that my mission tonight is to make sure that every single one of you either votes or helps a candidate in this current election. Thank you for your time.
Because I have less time and I'm sure lots of your families are rumbling and not take order. I tell spouses every time, and we've met hundreds of them, is to start networking authentically. I think back in India, networking feels like an alien concept. We have, oh, ye jaan pehchan ka hai.
And
So I was thinking I'll go back to India. I cannot sustain in Germany with all these problems. Then what happened? Again, you were talking about networking. I met again some Indians. I will tell their names, Dr. Keshwani and Dr. Gupta. And
Thanks for watching Indiavision. Give us a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. All comments are welcome. Hope to see you soon.